think the one most particular moment that we both experienced at the same time is one, I guess it was what, November night? We went to let the dog out. November, December. And we were letting the dog out in the backyard, and we were both kind of just standing in the doorway waiting, and we watched this huge blue orb, and it was massive. It had to have been every bit 12 inches round. And we basically watched it come over the back fence, through the yard, just slow poking its way, and even our dog stopped and watched it. And I guess it came through the complete backyard, got about 10 feet from us, and then all of a sudden
right,
just
there were
disappeared.
like 2 trees that came, and it just stood there. And the thing is, there was nothing that would, like neighbors would have like motion sensors. It wasn't even from that. It wasn't anything, and it's like just stopped and just stared at us. I mean, it was bigger than a basketball.
And then it just disappeared.
Yeah.
Let's see.
Another one was also, from there's several personal experiences that I had. One was up in New York, and that was when one of the spirits decided didn't like me.
Tried to push you down the stairs.
Tried to push me down the stairs, and there was another spirit that literally stopped me because I was too far away from the railing to reach, and
because
it helped me reach to the other side.
Because she was like in the middle of the stairway, and she kind of like just hovered like this for a while, almost at a 20-degree angle.
And it was like, oh God. And bad enough, at that time I had a boot cast on my leg going up and down the stairs, and I know it wasn't from me because I was pretty steady because I had 1 foot up on the top step and 1 foot at the next step, so I was pretty even. But I had a video camera and a voice recorder in my hand recording upstairs. Then all of a sudden I could feel like someone completely pushed me, and before I completely almost fell down, there was somebody else there, but you couldn't see them.
Yeah. And I've been pushed off ladders.
Yeah.
Trying to take pictures and running EVP, and literally just started to climb up on the ladder, and it was just like, nope, don't want you up here. And then finally I just said, may I please come up and take photos? And no resistance after that. Got up to where I needed to be and shot basically 360 all the way around. And the first shot, there was a huge orb in the center. Everything else, and even when I got back to the same starting spot, the orb wasn't there. That was pretty profound. But then again, I'm more of a skeptic. I don't look at orbs as paranormal. I look at it as
we both don't.
Dust, bugs, lint, So it's got to be pretty profound and pretty much in your face before I actually say, yeah, it's a spirit. If something relates to that orb, like knocking or things moving, then I have to think something different. But until it's actually like right there, I'm the biggest skeptic. When we do investigations, we go in to disprove. We don't go in to prove. Anybody can say, oh, that place is haunted, and not have a shred of evidence. But when we go in, we listen to what the client has to say. We go in with infrared cameras, digital voice recorders, photography, cover the whole gamut, and start ruling out everything. Okay, well, I hear knocking. Well, where do you hear knocking? On such and such wall. Okay, well, what's running through that wall? Is it plumbing? Is it electrical? Do you have rodents? So when you start ruling out everything and doing the process of elimination, then when you come down to everything, then it makes you wonder. Probably out of the 100 investigations that we've done, I'd say, about 20 of them are actually really interesting.
Yeah.
And out of that 20, I would probably...
They're questionable.
3. I would actually call 3 that were actually haunted. And those are the ones we keep going back. We're working on a case right now that there's going to be a new program coming out this summer. It deals strictly with paranormal investigation and research. And what it is this production company for this new show is going to focus in on the paranormal group. Unlike certain groups that are on TV now. They're looking at it at the aspect of the research and all the grunt work and everything. And we're actually working on a case that they are considering and have considered, and they'll probably be shooting sometime when they can get it scheduled in Lambertville, a nice farm, where one of the claims was seeing British colonial soldiers walking through their field. Indians, small children. We've caught the children on camera.
Yeah.
I actually witnessed seeing a colonial soldier walk out of the tree line carrying a musket myself. And I was like, you got to be kidding me. Went chasing after it, and then all of a sudden it just disappeared before our eyes. So we're actually doing that again, that place again next week. So we keep active. I mean, we've traveled anywhere from upstate New York to Macon, Georgia to Florida doing investigations. So we're pretty much available if we can make it. If not, we try to network ourselves with a huge group of paranormal groups. And if we can't get there, then we refer them to the group in their area. So that's what we like to do.
For us, there's 2 children that they do have some sensibility to this, and they do see it, but they prefer not to acknowledge it. In other words, if they see it, okay, it's there, and just carry on, because sometimes it's too scary, or they just don't want to learn about it.
With it, you know?
Yeah.
So it's like Kathy's daughter and my daughter, they're both into it. You know, each of them have their own special interests.
Yeah.
Kathy's Kira of the group. She's into demons. You know, she likes to research and find out about demons. Then again, Michelle, she's the mass murderer, you know, type person where she's like, can tell you know, what mass murderer, how many victims, where they did it. So that's her kind of thing. Then we have Mike and Stacy. Yeah, that couldn't be with us this weekend, but a couple of other, actually, they joined our group after we did an investigation for them. And they just found it so fascinating. And between Kathy, Kira, and Stacy getting together, they just had this whole vibe thing going where they're able to start picking up on each other, finishing each other's sentences, you know, working as like the three of them.
It's more like a sister bond. Sometimes when people are very spiritual, or their energy from one another, it builds a strong, more powerful energy, where you can't just work as an individual, you work as 3 or 4, and it really brings out the spirit more to you, to a point where we were at Stacy's place, and she does have a problem with one of the spirits, and literally knocked almost all of us completely out because we were so strong and powerful. He was right there in the room, basically telling us or dragging us down, where he was building up more and more and more of his powers and weakening us. And it just sent all of us to a loop that time when he came in.
Mike and I are the experimenters. And we'll say, oh, what about this idea? Let's try this and see how it works. It's like when we first got a ghost box. We were experimenting, asking questions, and you know, I'm still out on the ghost box, but some of the answers that we were getting were really crazy. And it's like, oh, well, you know, we're going to take a break now. I'm going to come back to you. And one of them called Mike an asshole. They told me they didn't want to talk to me. So it's like, you know, well, we all know Mike's an asshole. But so, you know, I'm still out on it. We haven't really gotten anything solid. You know, it's a fluke that, you know, might have answered some questions, but we've used it on a couple investigations. I'm still kind of out on it. You know, I like tried and true methods, you know, something that you know it's going to work. So.
Yeah, because I know when Stacey and I are together and Kara in the same room, it's very unbelievable in getting questions from a spirit. Even if it's a sensibility, then we know the spirit's there, and weird things happen when it's like they're like standing right in front of our faces, because we did one not too long ago down in South Jersey, and we're sitting in the room. Kira was in another room with Michelle. Daisy and I were in the other bedroom, and we're sitting on the floor. I mean, it was pretty cold in the place because the heat wasn't on, but our faces felt like they were frozen. It was so cold in there. So that basically indicated he was there, he or she was right there in front of us. And the thing is, we asked it a question, and it answered us right away.
Yeah, they were talking about what year the Vietnam War ended, and they were as they were debating on what year, it came through and said 74, just like that, before they could even say, oh, it was 1974.
Before we finished it. So. And there's, another time where we did in Millburn, where we did a home. And Daisy wasn't able to be with us, but it was you, Kira, and Mike, and myself, and it's like Michael was feeling where the spirit was, and I'm like,
we set cameras up and
everything.
Within the first 2 minutes of asking, running an EVP session, we literally got this full body shadow that just came out of nowhere, and just started making itself, talking with its hands and everything else.
Yeah.
And what's so funny is because where we had Kira standing in the doorway, asking questions. We had one IR camera running down the hallway, another one in the room shooting the whole room, and nothing was there.
Yeah, because I was like sitting on the floor
behind the camera.
So there was no movement coming from me, because you can't, when you work with the IR cameras, you have to be careful where you are, because if not, they'll pick up your shadow, and you don't realize it. So I was like sitting on the floor behind the camera, while Kara's over the door. I mean, you could see where Kara was, but the motion never came from her, never came from me, came out of the blue. But even before we started the investigation, this is when we just started it, and there was a closet. I mean, we could smell there was smoke, like something burning and everything. So Michael opened the closet, the door, Kara was on the other side, and I was smacked right in the pathway of the closet. He opened it up. The spirit that came out of it just knocked me for a loop.
Yeah, because it was just like boom, 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 all three. Kathy,
it was me,
Stacy, and Kira.
It was just unbelievable to a point where I couldn't even think for myself. Where the spirit was telling me one thing, and I'm trying to think for myself at the same time. It was like two conversations going on at once. Tried to regain my focus and talk for her at the same time, and it's too much. But it's fun. It's like, ooh, I want to do this again.